What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Noodle Time, episode 169. I am your host, Marquinho da Silva Nazario. Alongside my co-host, OSG. What's going on, OSG?
What's up, bro? OSG mileage tracker, 405 miles in the books, and more coming this weekend.
I'm excited to see what it is at the end of the season. Well, do you remember what it was last time?
Over 9,000.
It's like Dragon Ball. He's going over 9,000.
Yes,
absolutely. Man, it's great to be back. Obviously, I was back last week, but on a guest spot because I wasn't all the way up to date with everything Dynamo. And shout out to Andrés for hosting last week. Shout out to all the guys from Foxtrot Media. OSG, and we have a new member as well, right? OSG joining you on the dash side of things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Houston's H-Town Sports fangirl Danny has joined the crew. She will be joining the Dash Dispatch. She'll hop on Noodle Time here and there. She's gonna cover it all, and we'll see her at the stadium on the concourse. Y'all say hello. Most of y'all are familiar with her already. Welcome her to the crew.
Nice. Shout out to you, Danny. I haven't had the chance to meet her yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And obviously looking forward to collaborating whenever we can. But with that being said, OSG, the Dynamo are champions. That's a sentence that we all love to hear. This past Saturday, the Fan Fest for this 2026 season went along greatly. A match against the Red Bulls of New York now. No, I was going to say New York Red Bulls, but they're the Red Bulls of New York now. 3-2 win, lifting the first ever Torneo de Tejas trophy. OSG, you were there?
I was there in person. Enjoyed it. It was a very good showing, Fan Fest and everything. Release of the jersey as well too. So it was a great fun. Atmosphere was there. It was enjoyable and undefeated during preseason too.
There you go. Aside from the game, were there any activations that you enjoyed?
Besides from the game, you had the media influencer game. So if you stayed late, you got to watch some people just kicking around. It was just a fun game.
Nice.
I did not play. I was like, not gonna risk it at the end. But other than that, it was just a you get to check it out, and it was just a free for all. There wasn't that many people there, so it was just cool. No parking had to pay for parking, so it was a cool Fan Fest. Chill, win the tournament, have a trophy presentation, and then just enjoy it. And before the weather too.
Yeah, it was crazy because I unfortunately wasn't able to make it because I had other obligations as far as work and stuff like that. But yeah, man, it came downpouring and it was kind of crazy for like an hour there. So luckily, the Dynamo made the right decision and moving everything a little ahead of time, and obviously getting the game out the way and obviously giving everybody opportunity to watch the game and to see the guys go out there. Their last makeup before the real thing this Saturday, and good to see. 3-2 win. The best thing about it was a Guilherme hat trick, 3 different ways, man. So that's obviously good to see. Obviously we're really counting on him to be a distributor and to also be a goal scorer as well on our end. So just your thoughts on the game overall, and obviously Guilherme being the man of the match. And is there anybody else that you want to shout out from that match that you saw that played really well?
Yeah, so some of you probably checked out the article I wrote after that game, just spotlighting his hat trick. 9 minutes in, Red Bulls were pushing and had the game, and then all of a sudden we get a free kick outside. He plays a great ball. Mm-hmm. Nobody goes for it, and it curves into the box. What a goal, what a goal, what a goal.
Yeah.
Second one was a beaut. Was a beaut. And then the third one was the PK. And he was he was a difference, but the spotlight was him and Inali on the same side for 65 minutes during the game, playing the same left side, being a threat over there. And they kind of focused on Bogus. Bogus was playing the right with Dorsey overlapping. Dorsey was open a few times, but I like what that was. The threat on the left side, and we'll figure out what's going on with the defense later.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, they focused a lot on Bogus. Obviously, there's a lot more scouting on Bogus. Obviously, during his time with LAFC and all that stuff. So they thought, I guess New York felt that was the greatest threat. But it's good to see that. Obviously, if they were going to shut down on one side, that the other side picked it up for Bodegas and made it happen. So shout out to Guilherme and Inali as well. Obviously, we have high hopes for Inali uh, this season as well. As being one of the youngsters and up and comers, we've seen a lot of spark out of him for the last couple of years, and we're hoping that he can have a full healthy season this season and obviously showcase his skills and his talents. I mean, he's one of the fastest players in the league. And obviously, when you have speed and velocity like that, a lot of things can happen on the offensive side of the ball. So that's what we're hoping to see as far as like connectivity and just this distribution. And obviously, he's a playmaker, man. He can make his own shot. So hopefully we see a lot of that going on as well. But yeah, man, it's good to see. Obviously, something positive to finish off the preseason, like you mentioned, undefeated in the preseason. So hopefully we can keep that momentum rolling into the first game, and we'll talk about that later on in the show. But I mean, just one of the things that you mentioned was that the third goal was a penalty kick for Guillermo to complete his hat trick, and I believe I want to say it was on one of the Foxtrot Media shorts that I saw, maybe under Hermin. Shout out Hermin. That Ponce was going to take the PK, but he gave it to Herman, to complete his hat trick, and that's just kind of one of those signs of leadership that that you don't really get to see, doesn't show up on the stat sheet or anything like that. But obviously, you're just acknowledging the fact that a peer of yours is on the verge of accomplishing something really good, and you want to see that person, get that. A lot of times, somebody is allocated as far as the PK taker, and that's it. And he's taking the PK no matter what situation is going on. The fact that he was able to see that and allow Guilherme to take that PK it's just good signs.
I like it. Gotta pass it up when you have a chance and let someone shine. Hat
For
trick.
sure.
Great
For
penalty
sure.
too.
And speaking of Guilherme and Ponce, the following day after they had a meet and greet at WeGotSoccer on Westheimer and Fondren down there, guys. If you haven't had checked it out, well, one of the premier soccer shops in the city of Houston. They had a meet and greet for like an hour. I know Hedman was down there interviewing fans and stuff like that. Our girl Danny that you mentioned earlier was down there trying to find. Apparently, she has a new crush. Apparently, from what I heard. So
you mentioned his name, Marty, 4 times. You hear me?
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, so it was a good look. It was a good turnout. Obviously, 2 players that we have a lot of to look forward to, and hopefully a lot of goals between them both. A lot of distribution amongst each other, and all that good stuff. Any how was I going to ask you? Speaking of Ezekiel, there's been obviously we've had these talks from last season, obviously with Ponce, not getting the distribution that we thought he would, and obviously him not scoring as many goals as we thought he would as a DP player. What are your expectations for Ponce this season, as far as with all the playmakers around him that were brought in by Pat and Asher in the front office now?
Yeah, look, real quick. WeGotSoccer. That event was fun. I was there as well. It was a lot of people showed up. They stood in line. They got their autographs. We had to kind of push it a little bit fast because it was taking too much time. So it did go over an hour. But to see the players, we got to talk to the players as you would see on the YouTube video on Foxtrot TV. Go check it out. You get to hear Herman also ask questions to both of those players, and they both answered it in Espanol as well. And Cesar Proscal from Turin was there as a host as well, promoting the event, and shout out to WeGotSoccer for doing it. And Ate might be next. Working on it. But man, I already forgot your original question. I went back to WeGotSoccer.
Your expectations for Ponce this season.
Yeah. So everybody said let's get him crosses. Let's get him everything he needs. Beat it. Yeah. So he's going to be one of those guys where the ball has to fall to him. He has to be in the right place, and he's going to score the goal. I think man, haven't seen it yet this preseason, but it'll be more than last season. But I think we'll have a better season than last season, so where he'll blend in and be okay. 15, 16 goals. Let's go with 16.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, obviously we all witnessed all the troubles that the Dynamo had scoring overall as a team last season, and obviously when you have a player that was brought in with the price tag that's on top of Ezekiel Ponce's head, you kind of expect him to come in and dominate, but it's hard to be dominating when you're the lone striker in the box against two or three center backs pushing you around, and then not having any kind of distribution or any kind of help inside the box, right? But even with all that being said, the guy still managed double-digit goals, 10 goals in his first full MLS season. This is the thing that people don't seem to understand, and I get it. Look, as a fan base and as fanatics, supporters, and everything, we want players to come in and like, hit the ground running. But we have to understand too, it was his first full season with the team. 10 goals to start off his first full season. I mean, obviously, it's you would expect a lot more, and I do expect a lot more. And
what are you expecting?
Well, more than 10. I mean, me and
where you at?
Me and our fellow Foxtrot Media personality Cesspool, who's not here with us today, but shout out to Cesspool. We have a bet. So this is gonna be marketed here. Cesspool is on the side of doesn't think Ponce is the guy for us. He thinks that Markinich is gonna come in and and take over for that take over that position. He's gonna be the guy to be our primary striker or whatever. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I have faith in Ponce. I think Ponce is he's not the most agile number 9, but he is our prototype number 9. But especially with all the wingers and all the and all the playmakers that we have now around him, we don't need him to be that Lewandowski type or whatever. We just need him to be a target person when the ball gets to his feet. Make the shot. That's it. If the ball comes in his area and his area aerially, make the header. That's all we need. So he thinks that's gonna. So our bet, just for everybody to know, is whether or not he's gonna score more goals than he did last year. Last year he scored 10 goals. So the bet is if he scores 10 goals or less, Cesspool will get a crispy 50 from me. And this is just an MLS play. MLS play, no Open Cup, nothing like that. Just MLS play, regular season. And if Ponce scores 11 goals or more, then I'll get a crispy 50 from him. So it's a nice little wager between comrades, and like I said, I have confidence in that Ezekiel will go past that. Like you mentioned, you said 16 goals. I think if everything goes the way that I think it's going to go, because obviously, with the preseason, the way it was done and everybody kind of linking up and everybody kind of having bonding with each other and having time to play all these games together, I think it's gonna help the Dynamo get to a quicker start. So I think 18 to 22 goals. Anywhere between, yeah. So,
let's go. So, Chris.
Yeah. So I mean, you're here first. I either at the end of this season I'll look like a big dummy or I'll look like a complete genius. So, and I'll either be $50 richer or $50 poorer. But regardless of the sense, I have faith in Ezekiel Ponce, and I think with Guilherme and Bogus and Inali and all those guys, around the McGlynn, Herrera, all these guys who know how to get the ball to the next person and carry on and connect. I think that's what Ponce was missing last year, and he's going to have that this year. And I think it's going to be a revelation for the Dynamo fans when they see that number 10 of ours scoring the ball the way he is going to be scoring. I think the haters are going to be very, very quiet. We're going to hear a lot of crickets, So because look, I just don't agree with the Ponce hate. I don't agree with it, but like I said, fans are going to be fans, and they expect results, and then obviously, like, look, everybody sucked last year. Everybody sucked, from the front office to the water boy. Everybody sucked. So, but like I said, the bright side, the lone little bright side of things is, look, the guy still scored double-digit goals in a down season. So I can only imagine what he's capable of when he has talent around him who can get him the ball. OSG, any thoughts on that? I'm guessing you're on my side as far as the bet goes, but you're kind of our unofficial mediator of this bet to make sure it gets paid out.
No, yeah. I think you're going to get it. I think you're going to get it. Like Christian Marin says, I think Ponce is going to 17 goals the whole season. So you've got another supporter there to back you up, and it's going to be, man. And shout out Jeff Strong right there. Strong Opinions, always joining in on the show, man, and joining in on all the shows on all platforms, man. Shout out, man. He's gonna get it. That's why I said 16. And what we did, showcasing during the preseason some of the high power. Granted, it wasn't the best, but we'll find out Saturday how the game looks, how the style looks. We'll get a better adventure out of it, an aspect out of the adventure that we're looking for, and we'll be able to talk about it next week after that. But man, yeah. I'm excited about it. It's different. There's a lot of, when you were naming the players, you kept naming them. So many new players. Now you feel like you have depth because players that we did keep are on the bench now. So I like it. Always, I'm OSG, optimistic soccer guy.
Yeah, look. The players that we were counting on for distribution last year, as players like Linger, Inali, obviously those guys have fallen back to more of a third, fourth option, which helps them take the pressure off of them.
Dwayne Holmes this season.
Yeah, which helps take us a little bit of pressure off of them because like I said, Linger being one of those guys that came in as a quote unquote DP last year as well. It's just one of those things. He started off hot and then just kind of faded along the way, and it was just a result of the whole season just going into a downward spiral, And like I said, we got new blood, new positivity, new players with new set of skills and different attributes and different skill sets that they're going to bring. And when you got that coming in, when you got that energy coming in, especially the amount of players that have come in, you gotta get some of that stuff rubbed on you, So I expect, like I said, even though Linger is probably going to be a player coming off the bench, and Nolly, like I said, playing behind, Guilherme instead of playing up top, Holmes, you mentioned another player who may or may not be starting this week, depending on the situation. These players are gonna benefit from the fact that now teams are gonna go after Borges, obviously Ponce, stuff like that. So, I think it just benefits everybody when you bring players of talent and certain talent skills that that teams are gonna focus on those type of players.
That's a good point. We're gonna have to be creative while making our goals.
For sure. And speaking of Dwayne Holmes and stuff like that, obviously MLS.com on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, had the projected Dynamo starting 11 for this upcoming match day 1. They had the formation of 3-4-3. Let me call it out for you real quick right now. The back, obviously in goal, we got Jonathan Bond. The back three would be Eric, Antonio Carlos, and Lucas Halter. The midfielders would be Inali, Jackie McGlynn, Chike Bosat, and one Griffin Dorsey, who is no longer with us, but we'll talk about that later on. And obviously, the top three will be Guilherme, Ponce, and Borges. Your thoughts on that formation? Your thoughts on the starters and stuff like that? Obviously, we had a conversation last week about who might wear the captain's band, and obviously, our one Hector Herrera is not on there. But I mean, obviously, this is a projected 11. This isn't the starting 11. So
you want to go there?
Nah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see you guys some time afterwards. But I mean, just your initial thoughts on the players and what you see on that sheet.
I mean, minus the one obvious one, that's probably gonna be my expected starting lineup. We'll figure out who the replacement is later on this, but yeah, I mean, and I like it. I like it. You know, within Nali and Guilherme on the left side, you know, Halter did come out just after the start of the second half in the preseason game against at the FanFest. So there is a question: is if he's 100%? We will find out tomorrow during the press conference. There's a lot going on tomorrow with the Ted Siegel's in town too. There's a ribbon cutting, but you'll have to pay attention to that. Herman will be at this, and there'll be a Foxtrot video letting y'all know what's going on throughout the day tomorrow. But I like what we're seeing. I like how we're putting it together. I'm ready to see it in action.
Yeah. I mean, from looking at it on paper, I mean, obviously the attacking side of it just looks a lot more dangerous. You know, it looks a lot. There's a lot more speed. I feel like there's a lot more creativity there. And I feel like there's a lot more, just talent there. And obviously that's gonna. Hopefully we're right about that, and and that projects to actual goals being scored. And it's just I'm optimistic on if this is the starting 11. Obviously, let's not talk about the Dorsey replacement. What do you think is the weakest link on this on this team if this is to be the starting 11?
The weakest link at this point, man. Well, I mean, Dorsey's the weakest link with him on the team in this position, in this formation with these players. His replacement could be the weakest link.
But not counting that position, because obviously we know that position transition.
Yeah, I mean, but if he was still there, I would still probably put him. But weakest link without him, man, it's gonna be just because the question is: Eric going to be available for the entire season? Is he going to be reliable and consistent? That's probably the weakest link. And right now we have no depth and no reliability behind Lucas Halter. Juan Carlos.
Antonio Carlos.
Antonio Carlos and Eric. There's no depth right now behind them. Negri can play as well. Andrade already started hurt during the preseason, so a lot of questions there. Or more players coming in. So yeah, my biggest question would be Eric right now.
Eric, yeah. I think that's a good call out. I think just to be something different aside from you, I think maybe our weakest thing might be Jonathan Bond. I'm not sold. I mean, look, I hope he does well. Allow the goals that were scored on him last season, were an effect of poor defending and having a piss poor defensive line, and just kind of rotating players every week and stuff like that, and not having continuity. But we'll see. I think this is a big year for Jonathan Bond as well, to see whether or not he continues as our primary goalkeeper for after the season.
Jonathan Cruz in the waiting.
Yeah, or for Dynamo are always willing to go outside of the league to go find a proven goalkeeper as well. So I mean, but I think this is a big year for Jonathan Bond, and I hope he proves me wrong. I think he has a lot to show, and obviously as far as a goalkeeper stature, I mean, he's the perfect size. He's a good size. He has good mobility, agility, and stuff like that. It's just we need to see him, obviously save the goals, and make those crucial saves to help us turn those ties into wins and turn those losses into ties or whatever. So, but we'll see. That's my standpoint from that from that starting 11. I think the goalkeeping is our weakest link at the moment.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. So let's talk. So let's talk about the Dorsey departure. $1 million reported plus additional funds that I think is up to $200K. And Gam traded to Orlando City Soccer Club this past couple of days. Your initial thoughts on his tenure with the Dynamo? Obviously a fan favorite. Obviously, goal scorer in the U.S. Open Cup final against Miami a couple of years back. Just your initial thoughts on Dorsey, and then your initial reaction to when you heard the news of him being traded.
Surprised! So Dorsey had a great tenure here. One of the most loved men for the Dynamo. He's going to be a Dynamo legend to us just because who he was and how he acted and where he was and what he did. I mean, we even got to interview him. Yes. G Money, do we put him as a Dynamo legend? Yes, bro. Yes. So he's a Dynamo legend. He won an Open Cup with us, bro. Like, come on. So yes, he's a legend. He does everything. He hyped the crowd up anytime. He came out early before everybody else to warm up. It's Griffin Dorsey, man. It's Griffin Dorsey. We're gonna miss him. Yes, it's a surprise. Pat Onstad will probably tell you the money was right. You do have to pass. Some metrics will say, or a metric, whatever that. Griffin Dorsey was not the greatest defender in the world. So,
He was not.
Yeah, but who's his replacement?
Yeah.
We'll come to find out. I'm sure you'll ask later or have an opinion later. But yeah, Griff, man, he belonged. He fit in, was super surprised at the timing, obviously. Not as big as Mikel, could be as big as Mikel. Is it big as Mikel? I mean, I call him a fucking legend already. So big. 3 days before the season opens.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where the situation, you got to look at the overall situation of the matter, right? Us as fans, obviously, us as fans, obviously, we grow an attachment towards players, and he was the longest tenured Dynamo at that point, and obviously everything that he's done, his approach to the game was always something that we loved. His nonstop engine. He would run back and forth on defense to offense, offense to defense, and things like that. Obviously, what he did on the community. Obviously, us being part of a supporter group, all the times that he would hang out. Whether it was playing video games or just coming through, just high fiving or waving at us at away trips and stuff like that. He was always one of those first players, if not the first player, to always come, and say what's up, So, shout out to him for that. But obviously, like any sport, it is a business, and he was on his last year of his contract. And, depending on what type of money him and his agent were looking for, you don't know. Obviously the Dynamo have made big investments this year on other players in other positions. And maybe they thought that, that he wasn't going to be worth whatever he was going to be asking for after the season, and why not cash in on a player who realistically, I mean, you got him for free off of Toronto FC, like 5-6 years ago. He was let go. He basically brought in as a free agent, and you're making a million plus off of him after that. So I mean, it's a good business deal. Obviously, like I said, sucks as far as from a fan standpoint, because obviously he's one of those players that you think of when you first say Dynamo, and all that good stuff. So, salute to Griffin Dorsey, and thank you for everything, my guy, and obviously you're going to always be forever orange. And, down the road, when after your playing career is over, obviously you'll always have a home here in Houston, and always be part of the Dynamo organization. Obviously him lifting the U.S. Open Cup was a great thing, and obviously all the great stuff that he's done in the community as well. But I think personally, aside, feelings aside and emotions aside, I think it was a great move. I think it was a good move on Pat and Ash's side to be able to get $1 million plus for Griffin Dorsey. It's a right wing back. Obviously, I think if it was one of those things where if we were still playing a 4-4-2, it might put us in a little bit of a awkward situation because obviously that's our starting right back. But we're not playing a 4-4-2. We're playing a 3-4-2. We have no need for a right back at this moment, right? So it's a wing back position that we're looking for now, and we have players on the bench that can play that position, or have the attributes to play in that position. You mentioned earlier Dwayne Holmes. I think somebody like a Linger, who obviously I think the Dynamo still have high hopes, and a player like him to contribute as well can come in and play in that position as well. But just
Andrade.
Andrade, but obviously he's a little behind because of his injury and stuff like that. Obviously a lot of the Dynamo fans are looking forward to him getting fully recovered and
I
be
would
able
not be
to.
surprised if he starts on Saturday. He may have been hurt and not used in the preseason, but he may be healthy and ready to go, and he's fit and form. And then you never know what Ben can do because you don't predict Ben. But I would not be surprised if it's Andrade. It could be Dwayne Holmes. It's going to be one of those two. It could be Negri starting on that side too. We'll see. The left-footed Negri playing on the right side. So there's three options right there. I'm not sure which one it'll be, but I would not be surprised if Andrade gets a start. We find out
Yeah,
tomorrow again, like I said, during the press conference, who's
yeah,
available.
for sure. And obviously Andrade is a young player, so him recovering is gonna happens a lot quicker than say Eric Shevchenko or something like that, right? Or he's a lot younger player, so obviously his recovery time is a lot quicker. I guess just to kind of play devil's advocate, there was somebody who mentioned a certain player who you obviously are not opposed to having wear the captain's band. They might start, and we can move over a couple players over. But I don't know how that would work, and that would be mentioning putting Hector Herrera and the McGlynn position and moving McGlynn over to the Dorsey position. But I don't know how. The thing about moving McGlynn over that wide is just that he doesn't have the speed. McGlynn isn't a fast player. He doesn't have the velocity for a wing back, and that's the problem with that situation. Could it happen? Sure, I guess, but I don't really see it. I mean, it was an interesting prospect that somebody brought up on social media when I was going through the things, and it made me think about it. But if McGlynn had a little bit more speed, possibly, but I don't think it's one of those things. And obviously, you're not going to sacrifice a player like McGlynn to bring in Herrera. So,
No.
yeah. So but it's interesting to see what kind of dynamics. Obviously, like I said, you say I think Holmes is the leader from the fan base standpoint as far as the replacement for Dorsey, at least for match day one, right? I think Holmes is that player who can go play back and forth and isn't afraid to get a little dirty on defense and stuff like that. You mentioned Niggities.
Done
Niggities,
before as well.
yeah, Niggities is mainly played on the left. Does that mean you switch over Inali, put Inali on the right, wing back instead of putting him on the left behind Guilherme? Who knows? Because obviously Inali spent the whole preseason playing behind Guilherme, and that looks to be like a winning situation on that side. But do you do it for one match? Who knows? And who else did you mention? You mentioned who else?
What was it? Holmes and oh crap! How do I forget the last one now? It was
um,
Andrade,
Oh,
Holmes.
Andrade would be obviously the perfect, if like I said, if it wasn't for him having an injury. Obviously he does. I think if he might see time, he might be on the bench to start the match day one, because obviously, like I said, he's still trying to recover. But obviously he would be the perfect replacement for Dorsey. I did mention Linger for a little bit. It might be a little bit of a tough deal because obviously Linger likes to play up high. But but for one game, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. What's best for the team. I look. Bukayo Saka played left back for Arsenal a couple of times because we needed a left back. So if a player of that
Oh
caliber,
my God. Wenger will not be the right back, period. And we'll maybe get 12 minutes in this game. But yeah, we named 3 players that will play the right back, and that's it. And that's right now. That's all the options there is, and that's about it. McGlynn will not be there either. So whoever threw that idea at you to try to get Hector Herrera into the game needs to go eat a bowl of cereal right now.
hey
Their
man, Hector
nutrition.
has fans, man. Hector has fans.
Yep, you have fans. That's great. We're trying to win games.
Hey, we won game. They won games with Hector.
Yeah, well, this is not 2023. Get off.
No, I
Bleeding
got you. I
Sock
got you.
doesn't have something new on the
like
front.
I love playing devil's advocate. And I love
Right.
getting you
I
rattled
love
up.
it too. Hey, the great debate got a lot of views and got a lot of attention last time. So, hey, who wears the armband?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, when we were having that conversation, I mean, obviously, it's just one of those things where I could see it happening because I forgot who mentioned it on the chat. If you remember, shout out to you, man. If you're on the chat, let us know. Shout out to you. But like, it's just one of those things where, like, obviously, because of his experience and him knowing the system, I could see why somebody would think that for one match, it could happen. Do I think it's going to happen? No, obviously I don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, especially if a player like Eric is on the pitch starting, I think Eric is the go-to captain. And then obviously you mentioned Antonio Carlos holding the captain's armband a couple of preseason matches, and I can see that too because obviously him being there being a lot of Brazilian presence on the pitch, and obviously that him being the senior most Brazilian person after Arthur. Why not? But yeah, like it was a good debate, and shout out to everybody who took a little bit of time to view it and to see OSG frustrated at the fact that Herrera could possibly get to start. But we'll see what happens. Again, at the end of the day, we don't know what happens. This is a projected starting lineup from MLS.com. It can be totally wrong. Ben Olsen can make a complete left turn and do what he wants. He is the head coach, and obviously, he understands what he wants, and he's seen what players he wants to start. And then obviously, match day 1 is kind of weird. Usually, you have a little bit of a shakeup on there. As far as like what players you want to give an opportunity to, how long of leash are they going to have an opportunity to showcase why you chose them, or or you're going to go into plan B and substitute them off, right off the bat if everything's not going well the first half, and things of that nature. So match day 1 will be very interesting to see as far as who starts and who's on the bench. But as far as captain, I think it's going to go to Eric. Do you think it's going to Antonio Carlos?
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to go to Antonio Carlos. And like I said, we'll probably find out a little bit more tomorrow during the media press conference. We might have to wait. Ben likes to be Ben, and we might have to wait till the game to see when the lineups come out to see who's got the C. But I think it's going to be Antonio Carlos. Ben talked about him and praised him, how he is in practice, how he's taking a leadership role and pronouncing himself. And Eric deserves it. Is Eric reliable? It's the biggest question. You also mentioned, the mix of new players. Antonio Carlos, I think, is bilingual as well. Don't quote me on that, by the way. But it probably fits in a little bit better to where it's more necessary, especially if he fits the role. So we'll see. I think it should be Eric or Antonio Carlos, but I'm gonna bet Antonio Carlos right now on ESPN Bet Plus.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens. Yeah, but like again, you can't go wrong with either or. I think obviously Antonio Carlos showed a drastic improvement on our back line the last what was it, like 8-9 games that he was
Right.
involved with. for when he came in last season. So, he hit the ground running. He was one of those players that hit the ground running and, almost kind of helped us almost, kind of sneak into the playoff there until the last end, and we couldn't win any games. But we'll see. I'm excited to see. But obviously, speaking of that, match day one, let's talk about it. Dynamo versus Chicago Fire, Shell Energy Stadium, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Your thoughts, man? Just obviously, I saw a report today. A couple of Chicago guys are going to be out, which is an unfortunate thing for those guys. For us, maybe it's a good sign. Who knows? It's always an opportunity for somebody else to step in their place and to step up and maybe take over a starting role. Who knows? Your thoughts on the game? Your thoughts on Chicago? I don't know if you had any chance to look over the squad and look over the players. Obviously, they have a handful of dangerous players, two in particular, obviously high scoring players that come to mind. Just your thoughts on Chicago Fire and those guys coming into Shell this Saturday.
Look, I know they're an approved team, and yes, I did forget to go check up on them and to get the players' names and everything, but I know they're an improved team. They're not going to be as bad as they were last year. At one point, they were favored over Houston prior to the season. They are not no more. But as you mentioned, there's a couple of injuries that were announced a couple of days ago, which was a little premature. But those players were announced injured, and now Houston is technically favored in the betting lines. So if you're a betting man, you want to go out there and bet on, go bet. Well, I think it's plus 135. And you can get more money if you want to bet against us, if you want to go that way and take the risk. But yeah, so it it hmm.
Obviously we're gonna highlight Hugo Coopers, which was their leading scorer last season with I believe it was 18 or 19 goals. He was he was tied for fifth overall last season in goals scored, behind Lionel Messi, Dennis Burgana, Andres Dreyer, and I can't see the other name, but yeah, but I mean, obviously, one of the top goal scorers from last season coming in, looking to have a repeat. There was talks of Chicago possibly bringing in a certain Polish international, and Lewandowski. Luckily, that didn't happen because otherwise we would be seeing the Polish king going up against us match day one. But who knows? It's a possibility. Maybe after the World Cup, who knows what happens with that situation. But yeah, Colbert is a reliable goal scorer. Like I said, top 5 last season. I think that's the main threat. You have a Jonathan Bamba, obviously, as well, who can put the ball in the back of the net. Somebody who obviously can distribute as well. So just between those two guys right there, you're gonna have yourself a handful for Antonio Carlos, Eric, and for Holter. So if they can maintain those two, I think you're gonna do wonders as far as denying them their goal scoring opportunities, because just those two guys right there are just primarily their main focus as far as when it comes to scoring goals and assisting. So we'll see. Any thoughts on those players?
No, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot to question. Chicago's new, Houston's new, so there's a lot up in the air. There's Berhalter, he's a good coach. He'll probably have his team together and focused, and Chicago will come here and play well. The temperature's going to be well. It'll be comfortable for everybody. We're a new team. We're looking well. Ben, is structured, and hopefully the team will play together cooperatively, and so it'll be interesting to see. And I think we're going to come out with the win. I think we'll come out with a win, and it'll be a back and forth. Though it'll be a pretty even game.
Mm-hmm.
But, we don't know. We got to see what's going to happen. This is game 1, and preseason doesn't mean shit, and a lot of new players on this team, and now it means everything. So now players got to try a little bit harder than they've been playing. But for
sure,
Chicago, don't write them off. They can be a surprise, and they're going to be a strong team. And thank God, like you said, Lewandowski did not come.
Yeah, I mean, obviously match day one. I mean, I think to be honest, the first month of any new season, right? It's always unpredictable because you just don't know. You don't know what teams are working on or what new things teams have underneath their sleeve or who's going to make a drastic step forward as far as talent or skills that's going to elevate their team forward to another level or whatever. Like I said last year it was the Vancouver Whitecaps. They just came out of nowhere and showcased, a certain skill set that took them to the finals of the Champions Cup and the finals of the MLS Cup. And then they brought in a player like Thomas Mueller to help them along the way as well.
Mhm.
Uh, who knows who this year's uh, Whitecaps will be? Hope maybe it'd be Dynamo. Who knows, man? Who knows? One can hope. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to predict match day one. But I'm gonna ask your score predictions for match day one.
I think we're going to win 2-1. It'll be one of those we score first, they score second, we score third kind of games. So
Okay.
keep everybody on the edge of their seats, get them excited, and then bring them back up again, and then we hold on. And yeah, we're drenched because everybody parties, and it's
Keep
the
them
first game of the season.
keep them engaged. Who scores the goals for the Dynamo?
I think Guilherme scores one, and then McGlynn finishes off with the second one.
McGlynn and McGlynn free kick or what?
No, I think it's going to be one of his signature
Open
goals.
play.
Yep, yep. Open
Nice.
play, left footed,
25 yards.
something like that outside the box. Yes, outside the 18. Yes, so 25 would be great. Maybe closer, just because we're we're pushing and trying to score. But yeah, one of those, and he's more central now, so it might be more a little central. Wow. But he'll be
Get
open, he'll be free, and he'll finish. He'll take a touch, and then boom.
get you some water real quick, man.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously I think the fact that they have that capability is something else as well. Obviously back then, when we said the Moffat bombs and stuff like that, those type of goals are always are surprising and obviously gets the fans off their seats and it brings so much emotion and passion to the game, especially because it's something that a lot of teams don't really practice for, just for somebody to score a goal 25, 30 yards out, so when it happens, it's just an electric feeling comes into the stadium and stuff like that. So obviously I'm hoping for more of those type of goals from McGlynn, and obviously other players that are available as well. Obviously I don't want the Dynamo to just walk goals into from inside the five, inside the box or whatever. I want to see some diversity as far as goal scoring goes, as far as inside the box, outside the box, set pieces, free kicks, and stuff like that. I want to see it all. So
what's your
um,
score and what happens? And
I
Deep Money said 4-2, and he's got a lot
you,
scoring.
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go 3-1 Dynamo. I'm gonna go 3-1 Dynamo. I think the Dynamo, obviously, they're coming off the preseason. They're rolling with a lot of confidence. Obviously, I know that the preseason doesn't really mean anything, whatever. But just to get everybody in shape and stuff like that. But obviously, a lot of goals were being scored. Just the bond. I think the bond amongst the players is just from the videos I've seen and everything. It's just I think this group of guys is gonna click, and they're gonna click quick. And I think it's going to start right off the bat from match day one. So I'm going to go 3-1 Dynamo. And who scores my goals? I'm going to go with an Ezekiel Ponce brace and a Borges goal.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, 2 goals to start off, obviously to get off a good start on my bet against Cesspool, and then to see Borges, our supposed $10 million man, come in and put one behind the net would be nice to see us for him as well to bring him into the fold as well. So I think 3-1 Dynamo.
$26 million in goals right there if you count Ponce twice. So
Yeah.
I would love to see that too. Ponce with the brace for sure. Man, we'll get a lot of people excited and a lot of people flipping the script really friggin' quick just because it's game number one and it happens that quick. But it would be like special and a win coming out of it. So I hope that is right. I'm going to root for your prediction more than mine.
Well, at the end of the day, we're looking for wins. So I think at the end of the day, we'll take the win overall.
Right.
Obviously, to start off with 3 points is what we want. We don't want a repeat of last season. That's the thing that we don't want. We want to be as far away as from the start of last season to be, things of that nature. But obviously, we start off with back-to-back games at home against Chicago and LAFC. And the thing about hosting LAFC as early as we do is that LAFC is involved with Champions Cup as well at the time as well, so that we might not see a full first team LAFC coming into Shell in week 2. So we might see Sonny Boy, we might not. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But obviously, like I said, I'm excited. I'm ready for the season to start. Obviously, to start Saturday, myself, OSG, and a lot of guys will be at the Surge tailgate on Emancipation, on the corner of Emancipation, and I can't remember the street at this moment, but you'll see us with the big orange tents and the loud music banging and all that good stuff. And Maggie's pupusas out there, guys, for you guys who love pupusas. I'm a guy who loves pupusas, so I'm happy to see those guys out there getting us fed and full of food. BYOB, all that good stuff. Shout out to the Surge. But yeah, any last words, OSG, before we get a move on?
No, man, like you said, Foxtrot Media is going to have a big crew out there Saturday working. There'll be 6 of us inside the stadium actually working and trying to bring as much content as possible. Mark, like you said, you'll be out at the tailgate. Well, I'll be at the tailgate as well, starting at 4:15. Tailgate starts at 4:30. Walk-ins at 7 o'clock, supposedly 6:45, but we'll see what time EB comes around. So looking forward to it. Big shout out to Herman Benitez as MLS Communications given their shout outs to the local coverages for all the MLS teams today, and listed as number 1 was Herman Benitez for the Houston Dynamo from Foxtrot Media. Cesar
Shout
was
out.
number 2, and then Dustin Richardson from Bio City was number 3 sitting there. So I don't know if those were in any particular order, but shout out, he was listed and got the coverage.
Hey
Big time.
man, you put in the work like he has, and obviously you get rewarded sometimes, and obviously in this time, you get a little bit of showcase, a little bit of shine on Herman, and and obviously shout out to him and check out his podcast in Spanish, in Dynamico, that comes out every week and stuff like that, and obviously if you see him in the stadium, you know, chase him down, get an interview, get on the camera, especially if you speak Spanish, let us know what your thoughts are and stuff like that. And he's obviously out there with the questions ready and all that good stuff. And he's a good time, man. He's a funny guy.
And Mark, speaking of at the stadium, Foxtrot Game Day, there's going to be all of us there. So if you see any of us at any point, walk up. We will interview you. We'll talk to you. We'll put you up on the video. We're looking to talk to you. There's going to be plenty of us out there holding our cameras up, ready to talk to everybody and anybody. So come say hi, say hello, say we follow, and then we'll say what's up to y'all, and we look forward to seeing y'all there, and H is up.
Yeah, for sure, guys. Obviously, in all of our social medias, obviously as Foxtrot as a whole, and our individuals, give us a follow, give us a like, a subscribe, and all that good stuff, guys. And like I said, we appreciate the support, the continued support, and all that good stuff. The chat obviously is always busting. Shout out to you guys who are always on there. OSG, let the people know where they can find us.
All right, yeah, it's at Dynamic Foxtrot across all platforms. Foxtrot TV on YouTube. Man, we're there. We're out there. We're trying to provide every little bit of content we got. Check us out at dynamicfoxtrot.com. new website where we'll be posting everything and new articles. There's been 3 new articles posted over the last week, and actually, I think it's the last week, written by Andrés, me, and Herman. So you get to check those out too as well. As you mentioned earlier, Danny joining the Dash Dispatch and covering in the Dash. She will also jump on and help cover the Dynamo as well because she loves the game and loves the sport as well. So there's a lot going out there, but at Dynamic Foxtrot, you go hit the card as well so you can follow any of us on any of our socials and stay in tune, stay alive. And if you're in the Discord with us, you'll be very in tune because that's where all the information comes out first. Right then, right there, as soon as it happens in post. Wow. But Mark, H's, y'all follow, you'll see it. Twitter for you, Instagram for the rest of us, Threads for a couple other people. I still haven't got on that, but at Dynamic Foxtrot across all platforms.
Yeah, guys. So, like I said, appreciate the support and all that good stuff. I think in our YouTube, last I checked on our subscribers, and I'm a guy who loves to do the giveaways and stuff like that. So I think we're like at 353, 53, 54, 55, something like that. So I want to get the 400. I want to get the 400 as quickly as possible. And if we do that, I'm gonna announce a giveaway next week. As far as when we get to 400 subs on our YouTube channel. So guys, obviously, tell a friend to subscribe. Obviously we all know Dynamo fans and stuff like that. Maybe they're not that much involved in social media or watching videos, but hey, every little bit helps. Just put a like and a subscribe, and that's all we need. And obviously get yourself involved as far as with these giveaways of ours and all that good stuff. There goes the QR code and the business cards and all that good stuff that OSG is holding up right now. But again, guys, thank you so much for the support. Looking forward to a whole brand new season 2026 to the Dynamo. Hopefully it's more positive than last year. And obviously this Saturday against Chicago Fire, we're looking for a W. And along with the W, we're gonna hold these H's up because we're always gonna hold it down for H-Town. Go Dynamo. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's start it and let's get that W.
Let's go. H is up.
H is up, baby.